Hello students, welcome to Study Hive, and today we are going to learn about transportation system. In the digestive system we have studied that whatever the food we consume is broken into its constituents, and that food gets oxidized and it releases energy in the respiratory system. To supply energy to all the body, it has to be oxidized. So supply of oxygen is very important. It is done by transportation system. So transportation system supplies the oxygen to all the parts of the body to oxidize the food and to release the energy. So how does the oxygen supplies we are going to study in this chapter. So first let us see what are the components of the human transportation system. The first one is blood vessels. There are two types of blood vessels. One is arteries and another one is veins. Arteries are the vessels which carries only the oxygenated blood, only the oxygenated or the blood which is rich in oxygen is carried by arteries. And veins are the blood vessels which will carry only the deoxygenated or carbon dioxide rich blood in the body. And there are also two pulmonary arteries and pulmonary veins which will do exactly opposite work of the arteries. This pulmonary artery will do exactly opposite work of the arteries. It supplies deoxygenated blood to lungs from heart. It carries deoxygenated blood, whereas arteries will carry only oxygenated blood. So this is the only artery which is doing opposite work. And what is pulmonary vein? Pulmonary vein supplies oxygen rich blood to heart from lungs. It carries oxygen rich blood from lungs to heart. The next component of transportation system is blood. Blood is a fluid that carries oxygen. So hemoglobin is a complex which helps to hold the oxygen. Hemoglobin is the component which helps to hold the oxygen. What does the hemoglobin contain? Hemoglobin contain iron as the center element. Like this, it is a complex of iron wherein it holds oxygen in one side, and this hemoglobin helps to carry the oxygen. The hemoglobin also gives the red color to the blood. And also blood is consisting of a fluid substance known as plasma, and all the blood cells are suspended in the plasma. Blood is a fluid because of only presence of plasma. Blood cells are suspended in the plasma. Next, when we get injured, it is very important to stop the bleeding. So blood contains some platelets and proteins which helps to coagulate, which helps to stop the bleeding. Blood also contains what all the things blood contains? Blood contains plasma, blood hemoglobin, and also blood cells, and also some proteins which helps to coagulate the bleeding. So next component of transportation system is heart. Heart is a muscular organ which is the size of your fist, and it helps to pump the blood to different organs in the body. It helps to pump the blood to the different organs of the body. Next one is lymph. Lymph is a colorless fluid like blood, but blood is red color because of presence of only the hemoglobin. It contains less protein when compared to blood. Blood contains more protein, but lymph contains less protein when compared to plasma. Lymph carries absorbed and digested fat. It only carries digested fat. Next, let us study transportation in human. So the heart plays an important role and central role in the transportation system in the human beings. So let us see what are the parts of the heart. See, there are 4 compartments in the human heart. One is right atrium, right ventricle, right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium and left ventricle. See, if you see, there are 2 veins here. One is which carries the blood from the, see, always the veins will carry the deoxygenated blood from other parts of the body to the heart. See, it is blue color. So this one carries the blood from the upper part of the body. That is why it is called as superior vena cava. And the vena cava which carries blood from the downside of the body, from the organs which are below the heart, that is called inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava. And you can see pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein. So I have given blue color to the pulmonary artery. Why? Because this carries deoxygenated blood from heart to lungs. It carries deoxygenated blood from heart to lungs. But the arteries always carries the oxygen rich blood, but this pulmonary artery is only doing the opposite kind of work. It carries deoxygenated blood from heart to the lungs. And pulmonary vein is connected to the lungs. This pulmonary artery is also connected to lungs. It carries the deoxygenated blood from heart to the lungs. And pulmonary veins will always carry deoxygenated blood, but pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood from lungs to the heart. See, it is bringing oxygenated blood from lungs to the heart. It pours the oxygenated blood to the left atrium. So first understand how does this transportation or how does the pumping works. See, first we will start with the vena cavas. The superior vena cava brings the deoxygenated blood from the upper parts of the body and it will pour it into right atrium. And from the downside of the body below the heart, whatever the parts are there, from there inferior vena cava brings all the blood and it will bring it into the right atrium. So everything will first enter into right atrium. So then it will be pushed into right ventricle. From right ventricle, what happens? The connection is to the pulmonary arteries. The pulmonary arteries will directly be connected to the lungs. Here there will be lungs. I'll write it for you here. The lungs will be there. The pulmonary arteries will go to the lungs, and lungs will exchange the lungs will take the carbon dioxide and give the oxygen. Lungs will take the carbon dioxide and carbon dioxide will be exhaled through nose. And oxygen will be given to the blood, and that oxygenated rich blood will come through pulmonary vein. From lungs, the pulmonary veins will receive the oxygenated rich blood and everything will enter first into left atrium. It will first come to left atrium. From left atrium, it will be pushed towards left ventricle, and again through aorta. Through aorta, it will be distributed to all the parts of the body. So the aorta distributes the oxygenated blood to all the parts of the body. Through which vessels? Through arteries. Through arteries, the oxygenated rich blood will be carried to all the parts of the blood. So I am going to explain it once again for you. From the upper part of the body, all the deoxygenated blood will enter the right atrium through which one? The superior vena cava. And from the below the heart, the lower part of the body, the deoxygenated blood will be entering through inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava I have written here. From lower body, from upper body. So everything will first enter into right atrium. From right atrium, it will enter through right ventricle. So to avoid the going back of the blood from ventricles to the atrium, what it is, there are walls here. It will be closed. When the blood enters from here to here, it will be closed. There are few walls present here. Walls will be closing when the blood enters from here to here. From right ventricle, where does the blood go? Through pulmonary through pulmonary arteries, it will go to the lungs. It will go to the lungs. And lungs will give the oxygen to the blood and take the carbon dioxide. And afterwards, the oxygen rich blood enters through the pulmonary vein and it comes to the left atrium. After coming it to the left atrium, it will be pushed to left ventricle, and left ventricle is directly connected to what, children? It is connected to aorta, and through aorta, through veins, through arteries, aorta further divides into arteries, and the oxygenated blood supplies to all the parts of the body. When the oxygen reaches to all the parts of the body, the food will be oxidized and energy will be released. The whole notes will be given to you. This notes in the written form, it will be given to you through our Telegram channel. The link of the Telegram channel will be given in the description box, and you have to subscribe to the channel to get these notes. And there is also transportation system present in the plants. They have to translocate or transport the water which is required for the photosynthesis. The minerals which are required for the photosynthesis have to be carried from the roots to the leaves where the food is synthesized. So plants have a special tissues to transport the water and minerals and food. So xylem transports the water and minerals. Phloem transports the prepared food, that will be in the form of sucrose, carbohydrates, amino acids, that are proteins. So carbohydrates and proteins are transported by the phloem. This is called plant food. And water and minerals will be transported by xylem tissues. These are two tissues specialized for which purpose? The transportation purpose. The transportation in the plants will be carried out by two types of tissues, xylem and phloem. Xylem carries the water and minerals, whereas phloem carries the food. Which are the two types of food in the plants? Sucrose, which is a carbohydrate, amino acids are proteins. So this was end of the transportation system. Next class I'll teach you excretory system. Please subscribe to the channel, share with your friends. Stay tuned.